Hello and welcome back to the program. This is Doug Foresta. Of course, with us is Rebecca Evans, Executive Director of the Workforce Development Board of Ventura County. Also joining us today is Abrah Steward. She is the Program Manager for Climate First, Replacing Oil and Gas. Also joining us is Anthony Mireles, Business Manager, LiUNA 585, and WDB-VC Board Member. Welcome, everyone. Great to be here with you. I know we're going to be talking about sector work groups. Rebecca, why don't I hand it over to you to say a little bit about that?
Okay, great. Thanks, Doug. And thank you, Anthony, for being a part of our Clean Green Sector Working Group for the Workforce Development Board of Ventura County. Anthony's the leader of that group and has been engaged for a number of years. It is now considered a cross-sector initiative. So the Workforce Development Board of Ventura County, many years ago, in order to ensure that we are meeting the needs of local employers and meeting the needs of priority sectors in our region, which is our work under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. The board looks at data. We determine what the priority sectors of the region are, those that are in most need of hiring. And then we set up sector working groups to ensure that we have participation on the part of the employers, the businesses, and those that would employ people in those priority sectors, as well as stakeholders and service providers that would help connect job seekers to those jobs, and the education and training entities that provide the training that's needed to prepare the workforce to fill those jobs. And those are really the three parts of a workforce development board. You've got the job seekers, the employers, and the training and education that we can help pay for with our funds to help the two come together. And in our region, we're really looking to reach those that have had barriers to employment, get them the training and education they need so they can meet the needs of our employers. Clean Green was identified as a priority sector some years ago. And then recently, a couple years ago in a strategic planning session, the board determined that there are clean green initiatives and climate initiatives throughout a lot of different sectors. It shows up in manufacturing, it shows up in healthcare, it shows up in construction. So we call it now a cross-sector initiative. And what we're paying attention to here at the Workforce Board is what are the jobs that are coming related to clean and green technology, and what are the skills that are going to be needed for those jobs in the future. And one of the ways we do that, again, is engaging our partners and engaging organizations and employers through the sector working group. Anthony's been very active, as I said, in leading that group and bringing partners to the table. And today we just really wanted to hear some of the things that have been going on through that partnership and through the sector working group and share the information that the different partners have to bring. And with that, I think I'll ask you, Anthony, to kick it off and maybe talk about what are some of the priorities of the working group and what's the information you'd like to share with us today?
Okay, well, thank you, Rebecca. We've been focusing, like you said, I became part of this group probably like 8 years ago. And then back then we were just focusing on water technology and then sustainability. But as we see the mandates from Governor Newsom making California a leader in clean energy and fossil fuel reductions and everything else, it's driving the factor that we need to do these trainings. And so the groups we've been putting together is education. The Port of Hueneme is a big partner with us. They've been awarded the greenest port on the West Coast. So by having them here, they become a great partner. And every time we have our discussions and our meetings, we're seeing what they're focusing on. And like they've been talking about doing hydrogen hubs and doing everything else. So how do we be part of that if they're going to be the leaders in there and they're going to need workers for that? So we put together our thinking caps and how we get everybody together and make sure that we can align education and then of course labor. And then with that, where do we find the workers, right? The labor shortage. So what we've been focusing on is how do we attract these workers? So we're actually getting programs back into the high schools. So we have a pre-apprenticeship program that we're working with the CTE programs, and we've already done 2 trade summits with 2 different high schools here in Oxnard School District. And we've been invited to participate in other regions of the county, like Santa Paula and also Ventura Unified. The voters recently passed like a $435 million bond. And so we know that's going to drive the factor for modernizing the buildings and then driving the factor where we need to find the workers. So we'll recruit the kids, have them participate in a pre-apprenticeship, and the pre-apprenticeship basically prepares them what are the requirements to get into a union trade, and in this way it gives them options, so they can the participants can go in there and figure out which direction they want to go. So this helps us to create the green workforce. And with that, we've been working with CFROG as a partner because they've also participated in these groups with us. And then throughout those discussions, I think 2 years ago, we partnered with a grant through CARB, which is the California Air Resource Board, to reduce pollution. And initially we thought we were just gonna do it to create a certification for EV charging certification. But we pivot more and more to supporting the pre-apprenticeship, and then now recruiting our youth into the opportunities and the green opportunities. So once again, that's labor looking for the workers, trying to get into the green opportunities. And with the partnerships of the projects happening at the port, we're trying to identify what's happening within our county, transportation-wise, or even just utilities. So once we can identify that with our partners, every time we meet at our groups, then we identify the need to find more workers or to create more jobs.
Thanks, Anthony. Those are some great examples. And we do have, infrastructure is a hot topic right now, and that includes these initiatives as well. Doug?
Yes, thank you. So yeah, so my next question is actually, this question is for you, Abrah. Can you say a little bit about how CFROG's mission, vision, and values align with the initiatives under the Workforce Development Board of Ventura County Clean Green Workgroup?
Yes, absolutely. So CFROG is really dedicated to combating the climate crisis by working to shape the transition away from fossil fuels to a carbon-free economy in Ventura County and ultimately throughout the Central Coast. So we're committed to establishing an economy that is sustainable and inclusive and promotes renewable energy. And we work primarily at the local level to build awareness on how fossil fuels have historically impacted our communities, how they continue to impact our communities, and engage our area officials and government agencies and other like-minded organizations to eliminate those impacts. So we are hyper-focused on this very local area. And in Ventura County, we have a long history of oil and gas industry. And so by, being historically one of the grossest, offenders in the fossil fuel industry as a county, we also have the opportunity to set an example for the rest of the state. And so while a lot of organizations focus on eliminating fossil fuels and that's it, CFROG really wants to ensure that we're taking that extra step that says, if we're going to advocate for the elimination of the fossil fuel sector as a whole, we recognize that we have the responsibility to follow through and ensure that that the infrastructure is then in place in order to continue to support our economy in the way that fossil fuels historically have. And we believe that we can do that through electrification and the production of clean green energy. And the data also supports that as well.
Thank you, Abrah. And I know as a workforce board, we're charged with meeting the needs of employers across multiple sectors and different industries. But what we've seen here locally is a call for dialogue and conversation between both the oil and gas industry and their transition to more sustainable materials and fuels. And as we talked about earlier, the Port of Hueneme looking to be a clean port and transitioning the fuel that they use to drive what is a major part of our local economy in terms of importing and exporting using that port. So Anthony, anything else that you would like to talk about in terms of if folks are interested in the things going on in the Clean Green Working Group and getting involved, Abrah, you as well, maybe after Anthony, what can folks do if they would like to get more involved in these conversations, in the dialogue, or in the work as we look to move to more sustainable fuels?
Yeah. So our meetings are open to the public. Anybody can participate. Recently, we just had, I think, Wiggins Forklift, and he attended one of the meetings, and he started talking to us about his company, how they're transitioning to hydrogen. He's developed a hydrogen forklift for the port. And then through our talks, he was looking for sourcing, how can he either build hydrogen at his facility, or how can he sustain it? So another partner that has been speaking to us at our meetings is GoBiz from California. And they explained to us how there's a statewide network of hydrogen supporters from the industry. And so we reached out to them, and then we gave an answer back to forgot his name, from the Wiggins Forklift. And so we gave him options. So he either can have the hydrogen delivered to his plant, or he can build a facility there to make the hydrogen. So by being part of the group, we were able to help them identify solutions to what the needs are. And I think anybody that wants to join us, I mean, we're all there, and everybody brings different things to the table. So as we all come there and we all discuss things, we're able to help each other. One of the things we've been working on is the Green Jobs Report. So we've been working with Adele from the Center for Excellence, and we just recently met with her again. We're about to start focus groups, and we're about to, hopefully in a month or two, release the report. And basically we're going to be mapping what green job opportunities are out there in the county by everybody that participates in our group, from utility to industry to education. And we're able to identify where we think the job market's going to be in the next 3 to 4 to 5 years. Those are things we're working on, but anybody can join us. And like I said, anybody has new ideas, innovation, that wants to come and support. In the past, we've had hemp manufacturers come and speak to us what they were doing 2-3 years ago. And we're always open up for discussion.
Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, it's been a really good partnership. And those are some great examples of the type of dialogue we have in the meetings and the connections that are made. That's also very important, and a service that we are to provide to our local employers. Abrah, what about folks who might want to know more about CFROG?
Yes, so we are always, looking to engage more and more community members in the work that we are doing. We have a number of opportunities that allow for particularly youth to engage with us, but as well as, community members that are just interested in not having oil and gas, continue to negatively impact their communities. So we are always looking for volunteers, and individuals can find more information on our website, cfrog.org. That's at cfrog.org. And you can sign up for volunteer and to receive our newsletter there. And then as far as, high school students, we're really recognize that, the futures that are going to be impacted are our youth. And that's why it's really important, not only, like Anthony was mentioning, to work on targeting engagement towards our youth and showing, high school students now that the opportunities in the green workforce are abundant and high paying and, and engaging careers, but also understanding, the background as to why a green career is important. And so CFROG has opportunities through our Environmental Voices Academy, which is a program for high school students that takes place across 13 weeks. And it's a curriculum that we have developed to, supplement the climate science that students are receiving in their schools, and to, kind of take these really broad ideas of climate change and climate science and bring them down into our county here and empower youth with the opportunity to take action in their communities. And so it's kind of providing that background as to why is a career that protects our environment important. Okay, now we've got that. Here's our buddy Anthony. He's going to show you, these are some amazing career pathways that you can take.
Great, thank you. And I'll just note here, one of the things we did as a workforce board was we applied for some California Climate Initiative funding to help fund a pre-apprenticeship program for construction careers. Anthony's also been very involved in that initiative and helped us as a board member and as a consultant, as we, as you were saying, intend to prepare people to get into paid apprenticeships or high-paying construction careers. We have a pre-apprenticeship program, and we were able to add to that multi-craft core curriculum some opportunities to also engage in the initiatives under the California Climate Initiative and educate those future construction workers on sustainability and look at what those careers might look like. Skills would be involved in those construction careers as they move forward and look to implement some of this technology as well. Well, I'll turn it back over to you, Doug, for any last words. Yeah. And I just want to say thank you again, everyone, for a great conversation.
Yeah, I just want to say that, again, it's really exciting to have these conversations that highlight these work groups and all the work that's going on behind the scenes that people may not be aware of. But I think this is such a great example of doing well and doing good. It's clearly, obviously, I think we all have a vested interest in having clean air and a world that we can all live in. But how do you make, how do you also make this something that is a driver for the economy, right? How do you continue to drive the economy? This is a workforce issue. It is many issues. So again, it takes everyone to do this. And I think this is just such a great example of the kind of work that the Workforce Development Board of Ventura County, along with, important partners such as yourselves, are doing to improve the quality of life for all of Ventura County. So thank you so much.
Yeah, so one of the things that we also have to look at all the time is the legislative. They're always adding new bills, and it's making new mandates, either for like less fossil fuel cars in the next 10 years, which Tesla is one of the biggest producers of the EVs. So there was, I just saw a report, there was 1.5 million electric vehicles that were sold in California. So if you start seeing those numbers, you're thinking, well, okay, we need infrastructure, right? So we've been looking at that. We've also seen how California is mandated for offshore wind, right? Was I think 25 megawatts by 2045. So as a trade, we see that too. And so now we're seeing opportunities where we have to do the recruitment. So what we discussed with CFROG to help us with the transition is, how do we get these young influencers to assist us to recruit the youth and make this, part of the social media. So we're developing a program with interns. We're using virtual reality glasses that right now are programmed for a day in the life of an offshore wind worker. But we're also going to work with the software developer and create a construction theme for that one in the future. So we're using technology now to recruit workers to go into to green jobs, along with CFROG. So this is one of the innovative things we're working on this summer.
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you. It really is amazing. So Rebecca, Abrah, Anthony, thank you so much for all the work you're doing. And thanks for sharing your words of wisdom here on Ventura County Works.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Doug.